entrepreneur development. It's called MINTRED. And we're delighted that Mr. Dzulkornain has joined us. He's worked for several state agencies, including the Ministry of International Trade and E-Commerce and the Halal Industry Unit. Now, he will explain to us the state and federal incentives on offer to give you a very special insight right now into the industrial parks that have been established specifically to attract foreign investment in heavy industry, in high tech, and importantly, in manufacturing. I know you're going to find this very insightful. So over to you, Mr. Dzulkornain, for your presentation this afternoon.
Thank you, Tina, for such a wonderful introduction. And thank you to the organizer for giving us this golden opportunity for us to share with everybody on business and investment opportunity in Sarawak. Good afternoon, everybody. I believe I don't have to introduce anymore about Sarawak. Mr. Kenneth and Mr. Chew already talked about Sarawak. After all, Sarawak is only 1 hour and 20-minute flight from Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin my presentation, I will show you a bit of comparison between Sarawak and Singapore. Sarawak, of course, is bigger than Singapore in terms of land size. But we must admit that Singapore is far modern and developed than Sarawak. That's the facts. That is why we would like to invite business people from Singapore to invest or do business in Sarawak. I'm pleased to share with you, to everybody, about the current land use in Sarawak. For efficient utilization of our resources, Sarawak has earmarked about 56.5% for forests, 32.3% for agriculture purposes, and remaining of 11.2% for settlement and water bodies. Sarawak is the biggest state in Malaysia, and being the biggest, Sarawak is rich with biodiversity and natural resources that can be used and turned into commercial products like medicines, cosmetics, food and beverages, etc. Here again, we believe that with the advancement of technology and R&D that Singapore have, you probably can come to Sarawak, do the R&D for the purpose of commercialization of certain species of biodiversity that we have in Sarawak. Blessed with natural resources that can be turned into renewable energy like hydropower that supply enough electricity and clean water for the use of industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarawak population of 2.8 million are relatively small and young, but these young population are skilled, talented, and trainable workforce, and it is crucial for industry. In terms of economy, Sarawak is broadly a commodity-based and export-oriented economy. And we are proud to say that Sarawak is one of the largest contributors to Malaysia's economy. And that contribution largely from oil and gas sector. In this respect, we want to diversify our economy, and one of the sectors that we identify that can leapfrog the developments of Sarawak is downstream manufacturing activity that apply modern technology. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the slowing down of the economy, we are proud to inform that Sarawak continues to enjoy positive trade balance. And Sarawak major trade partners are Japan, China, Korea, Australia, and of course, Singapore. As you all know, Sarawak and Singapore have a long history of socio-economic collaboration. Sarawak total trade with Singapore, of course, are relatively small compared to other countries like China or Japan, but we believe that this value of figure can be increased in the future. Our export to Singapore, mainly crude petroleum product, electrical machinery, and live animal. Whilst our imports from Singapore mainly refined petroleum product, plastic-related product, machinery, and equipment. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarawak inspired to be a developed state by 2030. This can be achieved by targeting of 8% annual GDP growth. And to achieve this noble aspiration, Sarawak government will focus in certain economic sectors such as commercial agriculture, concentrating on smart or precision farming. And this subject will be delivered by the next speaker. Number 2, manufacturing and entrepreneurship, focusing on high value downstream activities. Mining, exploration toward downstream value chains. Forestry, focusing on reforestation and tourism industry. This sector will be supported by 5 key enablers that we have identified. Number 1, data center innovation. Then we believe that Singapore is very strong in this area. Number 2, infrastructure. Number 3, education and human development. Number 4, renewable energy. And number 5, of course, excellent services across public and private sector. These are among the sector and services where investors can come and invest in Sarawak. Ladies and gentlemen, despite global economic uncertainty and slowdown in the past 2 years, we are pleased to inform everybody that Sarawak remains as one of the most attractive investment destinations in Malaysia. Last year, 2020, up to September, Sarawak was ranked number one as most preferred investment destination in Malaysia in terms of investment in manufacturing sector, worth about ringgit Malaysia 15.8 billion, or about Singapore dollar 5.1 billion. Even during these pandemics, there are serious foreign investors continue to seek investment opportunity in Sarawak. We have a case that South Korea and China investors applying to enter Sarawak to conduct their feasibility study, and they are willing to undergo 14 days quarantine. That shows how serious they are. To attract and facilitate investment in Sarawak, both federal government and state government has offered very attractive incentive for investor. For federal government, the incentive mostly in terms of taxes, such as pioneer status, investment tax allowance, reinvestment allowance, incentive for high tax industry, and various type of assistance in form of grant for Malaysia businesses or foreign who intend to establish, expand, diversify, and modernize their business in Malaysia. The government also encouraged investment projects to be undertaken on a joint venture basis between Malaysia and foreign entrepreneur equity. Besides tax incentive provided by federal government, Sarawak government also provide non-financial incentive to investors. Among the incentives are, number 1, competitive land price with flexible term of payment, competitive electricity tariff. Our tariff is one of the lowest in the region. And for the energy-intensive long-term consumer, they can opt for power purchase agreement, PPA. And number 3, we also offer competitive water tariff. Ladies and gentlemen, administratively, Sarawak has 11 administrative divisions, and each division have their own industry based on the available resources in each division. For example, oil and gas related industry mostly located in Miri and Bintulu. shipbuilding and ship repair in Cebu, while high-tech industry mostly located in Kuching. We are proud to share with everybody on our two most successful industrial parks in Sarawak. Number one, Samalaju Industrial Park in Bintulu house heavy industry with total investment about ringgit Malaysia 28.43 billion or equivalent to Singapore dollar 9.2 billion. And one of the company operated in Samalaju is OM Holding from Singapore, producing ferrosilicon, silico, manganese, and high carbon ferromanganese. And another one is JAYA High-Tech Park in Kuching, where high-tech and advanced material produced for export purposes. It is home to high-tech companies such as Longji from China, producing solar, Western Digital from USA, producing aluminum and gas substrates, Expex from Germany, producing semiconductors, Taiwan from Japan, producing multi-layer ceramic capacitor, and Illigin from South Korea, producing copper foil. Ladies and gentlemen, although Sarawak is competing with other states in Malaysia and also in the region, but we are very selective in choosing the right investment coming to Sarawak. We welcome investment in certain industries that are high-tech in nature and applying advanced technology and modern machineries. Number two, employing skilled workforce and willing to transfer technology to the local. And number three, sustainable, green, and environmentally friendly technology. We also want to stress here that Sarawak banned the importation of waste, but we encourage investment in industry that utilize local waste and turn it into commercial product. With that, ladies and gentlemen, Sarawak welcomes investment from Singapore. Thank you very much.